Hey everybody, welcome back to some more card reveals. Up today was Demon Hunter. I think some people are a little bit spooked by Demon Hunter, as unlike a lot of the other classes, they obviously don't have this same level of history as they do, because it was one of the more recent additions to the class roster. And when originally Demon Hunter came out, and I think a lot of people speculated, are they going to bring back this form of Demon Hunter? It wasn't the most popular... The one of the most popular class, let's say, in terms of feeling of playing the deck. In terms of playing the deck to win, it was really good to play because they was unbelievably strong. So I think people were concerned about exactly what the power level was going to be of Demon Hunter cards and what direction you would go in. Are they just going to generate all these very cheap weapon buffing cards and you're just going to smoke them in the face? What's the deal? Anyway, enough speculating. As a little heads up, I think they've got some really exciting cards. Demon Hunter's power level right now is pretty low on the whole, the ladder. They're kind of propped up by Naga Demon Hunter, let's be honest. And Naga Demon Hunter is really just one card in Naga Demon Hunter that props up the entire class right now, so it'd be nice to see some other Demon Hunter decks. Anyway, let's start with a bang. Magtheridon unreleased. 8 mana, 12/12 Mech Demon. Dormant for 2 turns. While dormant, deal 3 damage to all enemies at the end of your turn. This card's pretty crazy, honestly. And this is, I think, the first time they've ever printed a dormant card that has an effect tied to the dormancy. There have been cards, where it's like, it's not dormant for X turns, it's dormant until, like, certain minions die or a certain amount of mana has been spent. They've never had a minion before where it's like, while this is dormant, it's going to keep doing stuff to your opponent. And that's honestly frightening because you can't really interact with the dormant cards, right? So you basically just have to suck it up or play Reno. Anyway, obviously this is a nod to the card Magtheridon from the past. I think it was Ashes of Outlands, right? This came out in. And I think this is one of the big surprise cards of that set. And essentially it was surprising how bad it was. Sorry, Magtheridon. People are seeing this as, a 4 mana 12/12 that all you have to do is destroy your opponent's 1/3 wardens that you summon for them, and you get a 12/12. You clear the board. That is a huge tempo swing. And 3 health is actually not that... It's not too bad a breakpoint, right? It turned out it was just too many steps, too much faffing, and Magtheridon did see a little bit of testing, a little bit of play, but he never really reached the heights I think people thought it was going to see. This version of Magtheridon, though, probably won't either, because the current backbone behind this, let's be honest, it's going to be more of a control value Demon Hunter deck. I don't think it's quite there. Also hurt by the fact that the Relic package is rotating out, which I think would have fit very nicely with Magtheridon. But we'll see. We'll see what we can put together. Anyway, the other thing about Magtheridon I want to mention is the breakdown of the mana cost. And I like to do this on cards. So dealing 3 damage to all enemies, again, is not a symmetrical effect. It is only hitting your opponent's board and it's hitting their face at the same time. There's not many cards out there that do 3 to all enemies, not just 3 to all minions, but enemies. Crash of Thunder is funnily enough one of them, but it's kind of hard to assign a mana cost to that because it is also discounted for nature spells. As a ballpark figure though, I think it's fair to say at least 3 mana because Lightning Storm in Shaman, which also has an overload attached to it, is 3 mana, and just 3 to all minions. So at the very least, let's say this is a 3 mana effect dealing 3 damage to all enemies. You spend 8 mana, you get a 3 mana effect on that turn. Obviously, big bad tempo swing, you're losing 5 mana on that turn. And this is the criticism of all dormant cards. It's how can you make them relevant, right? You lose a huge amount of tempo on that turn, which gives your opponent the advantage. And then by the time this breaks out of dormancy, your opponent has a board to deal with the minion you're playing. Not with Magtheridon, they don't, because they're just going to be taking 3 damage at a time. Do you want to be playing minions into Magtheridon while it's in dormancy? Not really, that is pretty frightening. You're getting like 6 mana effect worth of damage over like these 2 dormancy turns, which kind of means at the end of it, you're getting like a 2 mana 12/12 if you like pace it that way, which obviously is completely bonkers. But I'm really, really intrigued to see how this does. There's a part of me, there's the gut side of me that's saying this is just too slow. There is equally a part of me that's like, if you copy this like 3 or 4 times and you have multiple Magtheridons in dormancy on the board, that's going to be pretty obnoxious, right? You might be saying, how do you get more Magtheridons? If it's a legendary, you can only run one of them. How about Oh, sorry, also, before I get into the next card, it is a mech as well, so it can be discounted by mech cards, like Frequency Oscillator and Tram Operator. But yeah, back to the thing. You can generate copies via Window Shopper. 5 mana 6/5 demon miniaturized. Battlecry. Discover a demon, set its stats and cost to this minions. Obviously, that's pretty good with Magtheridon, right? You can take a Magtheridon that is 5 mana 6/5 instead of the 8/12/12, and just keep the dormancy going. Keep that damage to your opponent's board ticking over. Make it really unpleasant for them to play minions. It's a really interesting way to go about it. And by interesting, I mean kind of toxic way to go about it, because I said you can't really interact with dormant cards, so good luck with that, opponents. Other demons you might also want to look out for: Illidari Inquisitor. Obviously, you're losing 2 attack from the Illidari Inquisitor stat line, but that's actually a pretty good deal when you lose 3 mana on it. And one of the big weaknesses of Illidari Inquisitor is that you obviously want to hit your opponent pretty hard with like a weapon or something, and you only have like 2 mana left over to make this combo up, which means you kind of want to pre-spend for a weapon to then go into Illidari Inquisitor. It's just a little bit of a faff, but it's a pretty good card. It does lead to some OTK decks, and maybe Window Shopper can help you more reliably find out these Illidari Inquisitors and just make this big board of demons that smoke faces and just keep chipping your opponent away. Yeah, it's kind of frightening, honestly. Also, right now, the pool of demons, I've not put it out here yet, but the pool of demons is pretty small, and it's pretty small in a good way. A lot of the demons are reasonably good, so yeah, I think Window Shopper more often than not is going to generate you one of these big demons, and you're going to like it. Anyway, we also have Umpire's Grasp, 3 mana 3/2 weapon. Death Rattle, draw a demon and reduce its cost by 2. Alright, this is going to be the rest of the episode, isn't it? Obviously, Magtheridon will be very good to get from this. Play your Umpire's Grasp. You draw Magtheridon, you discount it by 2. You play, or you have played one of your mech reducers, you may be able to get Magtheridon out on 5 instead. Magtheridon on 5 is truly spooky, so yeah, watch out for that. Maybe that is a reasonable combo. You're probably going to want to put some other demons in your deck, though, especially if you're going to run duplicates of Umpire's Grasp. So you can't always get Magtheridon, but maybe you get the Magtheridon Searchers instead, right? Now, Demon Hunter has had cards like this before. They had the weapon Tusk Piercer, which was Death Rattle, draw a Death Rattle minion. This weapon is a little bit more aggressively statted. It's a 3/2 weapon on 3 mana, rather than a 1 mana 1/2, which, you know, you're just chipping away for 1 damage at a time. It takes 2 turns to break the weapon. Similarly, Umpire's Grasp, you have to take 2 turns to break the weapon, but you're smoking for 3 damage, and 3 is bigger than 1, right? Quick maths, I believe that is true. Tusk Piercer didn't see too much play, but in part that was because there wasn't really the best Death Rattle baseline minions out there for it to succeed. Another card this kind of reminded me of a little bit was Felgorger, which was a minion. Instead I had a Battlecry, not a Death Rattle, which was draw a Fel spell, reduce its cost by 2. This is a faster version of the Umpire's Grasp, and this card didn't see really any play, but again, I think this was more down to there just weren't good enough Fel spells at the time to really make Felgorger pop. So, yeah, I think Magtheridon is a big enough reward for getting this Umpire's Grasp in your deck. I can definitely see this. Maybe it's not like a full control deck. Maybe it's more mid-range. You go pretty aggressive early on. You try and throw Magtheridon out there, you know, round 6, 7, 8. And maybe that is just enough tempo to get you over the hump at the very end when this thing comes online again. I'm not sure. Anyway, other kind of like low-key insane card, Blind Box. 2 mana, get 2 random demons, outcast, discover them instead. On paper, this looks pretty middling, right? We've had cards like, you know, discover 2 dragons. They can be pretty, get 2 random dragons. They can be good because typically the dragon pool is better than any of the other tribes. Demons, though, are not bad, but however, discovering demons is pretty bonkers right now because we have, obviously, Wretched Queen in the Warlock class. Do you want a wall in front of your face? Now you can. Do you want something from your own class? Do you want another Illidari Inquisitor to bonk your opponent's face? Now you can. Doomguard, do I want 5 damage? Yes. Now you can. Obviously, Magtheridon could have been on this as well. I decided to try and leave him off for a slide. Probably the most important demon of them all. Blind Box could potentially allow you to discover Sargarius, and that would be a legitimate scary card for Demon Hunter to have access to. Obviously, it's really scary that Warlock has access to it, but if you're trying to run this more value control-based Demon Hunter, I can't think of too many cards I'd want to steal from another class than Sargarius, so... maybe that's going to be the gimmick. Maybe you try and put this onto the... Well, obviously you want to outcast this, so you try and get this to the left side of your hand, you play it, you try to discover Sargarius. I've not got the full pool that has been posted online of all demons in-game right now. It's actually bigger than I thought it was going to be, but there's enough good cards in the demon pool that you're almost certainly going to discover and find one of them, right? Out of 6 hits, you know, the 2 different attempts of it, you're probably going to find one of the good demons, and I think that's probably good enough for Blind Box. Other funny thing about this card is, apparently on the flavor text behind it is something like, find 3 Flame Imps. So clearly at some point in its history, Blind Box found 3 cards, not 2, and they haven't changed the flavor text, so we'll see. We'll see if that gets changed. Alright, back to Control-y Demon Hunter land. Workshop Mishap, 4-mana Fel spell. Deal 5 damage to a minion. Excess damage is both neighbors. Outcast, gain lifesteal. I think this is pretty weak, to be honest with you. It reminds me of Combustion from Mage. Didn't see a lot of play back in Mage. Obviously, if the meta becomes super hyper aggressive and there's lots of tokens and stuff, then Workshop Mishap will go into your value controlled Demon Hunter deck, just to take the edge off them, especially if you can outcast it and then gain the life back. That is backbreaking for an aggro deck. Not only losing your minions, but your opponent's health going back up again. Horrible. Don't want that. But yeah, there's not a lot else to say about this. It's pretty weakly statted for a single target removal. Obviously because the excess goes to the neighbor, so they can't stat it much higher than this. Yeah, there's better single target removal out there. There's probably better AoE removal out there, even in Demon Hunter. This is possibly the one thing it does have going for it, though. If you were to try and run this in the Highlander Demon Hunter deck, where there's not that many AoE Demon Hunter spells anymore, maybe the Workshop Mishap makes its way into that deck, but how good is Highlander Demon Hunter going to be? Probably not good enough based on the previous set. Another really interesting card. Red card. Nope, it's a green card. Red card. Nope, it's a green card. Okay, we can go here all day. 1 mana, make a minion go dormant for 2 turns. Hello. Incarceration. It's Incarceration, but for Demon Hunter. Incarceration was choose a minion, it goes dormant for 3 turns. That costs 3 mana. For 2 less mana, you can make him go dormant for 1 fewer turns. Also, why is the text different on this card? It's make a minion go dormant. I'm gonna force you to go dormant. Get down there. Get off the pitch. Anyway, you give it a red card and it goes dormant. Now, one of the funny things about this card is, on the face of it, you're like, that's pretty garbage, isn't it, right? Oh, potentially, yeah. Funnily enough, Incarceration is seeing some play in Beetle Druid right now, just to basically move out the way a big taunt minion. That's kind of its purpose. So it says a little bit of play. Maybe if you're going to do this combo face deck, you might want to put a red card in your deck again for this very reason, to remove any taunt minions in the way. What you could also do is red card your own Magtherodon. It would go dormant again for 2 turns, and you would start doing 3 damage to all enemies again at the end of each of the turns. Do I think it's a good idea to red card your own Magtherodon? Probably not, but the option is out there. And hell, if this ends up being, left on the board as a 12-1 or something, smoke him in the face for 12, that's all our damage, red card it, that's 6 more guaranteed damage, and Magtherodon was probably dying on the next turn anyway, so yeah, I can see a world where you do it. I don't think it's going to be the most reasonable world, though, so I'm not sure how red card is going to work. It is an interesting concept of this minions do stuff while dormant. I'm not entirely certain how I feel about it. I think I feel bad about it, so I'm pretty happy that it's on a legendary minion, and I hope we don't see too much more of this. Or, if that is going to be the case, we need more cards that interact with dormant minions. Also, in Demon Hunter land, they have Lesser Opal Spellstone. We're getting a Blast from the Past. This is a 2 mana to draw 1 card. If you attack with your hero twice, it upgrades. I've not got the upgrade here, but it upgrades to draw 2 cards, and then again with the text of attack with your hero 2 times to upgrade. And if you do that again, you get to draw 3 cards, and that is the limit, the cap. We've seen Spellstones before. This was Kobold and Catacombs, like one of the signature cards. We have them for all the other classes, except for Death Knight, but we now have that for Death Knight as well. So I really like the fact they're going back and, like, homogenizing the old mechanics into the new decks or the new classes. It's a pretty cool concept. Getting to the card itself, though, I think it's pretty bad. I'll tell you kind of why. So the big payoff for this, after you attack 4 times, which is a lot, bearing in mind under normal circumstances your hero attacks once per turn, it's basically 2 mana draw 3 cards with 4 turns of effort and draw 2. Why would you not just play Sigil of Time, which is 1 more mana more expensive, I'll give you that. But you're guaranteed to draw the 3 cards without any bells and whistles attached to it. It's just better. There's just better draw out there for Demon Hunter. Even Glaivatar would be a better option, in my opinion. Now, you can point out, and I've not put the card on here, there is Going Down Swinging, which in theory could get your Lesser Opal Spellstone to jump up a tier in 1. But there's not many other Wind Fury or Attack Multiple Time weapons right now in Demon Hunter. And I don't think any are rotating in, so I think Lesser Opal Spellstone is going to be one of those cards that, watch out for it if we get any multi-attacking weapons again in Demon Hunter, or like it becomes a strong synergy, let's put it that way. Then maybe Lesser Opal Spellstone will slot into that deck because it'll be effectively the effect of Sigil of Time where you get it up front and it costs 1 less mana. I think currently, though, you would probably never play this over Sigil of Time or Glaivatar if you're going to run an Outcast deck. Similar theme, Spirit of the Team. 2 mana 0/3 undead, stealth for 1 turn. Your hero has +2 attack on your turn. I really like this card. I think this is very solid. Obviously, it's a nod back to the Rastakhan Rumble Spirits. Some of them were better than others. Actually, the 3 I've got here are all ones that did see some play. Gonk Druid, I think, was one of them, which was a bit of a meme deck. The Rogue one, which was the Shark, right, gave you multiple battle cries. And Rhino was very good because there was a lot of good Rush Warrior cards back then, or even around then. Let's get back to Spirit of the Team, though. I think this is a pretty solid card, right? You're guaranteed, or almost guaranteed to get... No, you're guaranteed to get 2 attack out of it. You're almost guaranteed to get 4 attack out of it, unless your opponent has non-targetable damage, and they just take off the Spirit of the Team that way. For 2 mana getting, let's say, 4 attack, that is very similar to Twin Slice. Obviously, Twin Slice, you could put that up front and take both the... you could use both the Twin Slices on the same turn to give you a 2 mana gain 4 attack. Spirit of the Team, you can't do that, you have to do it over 2 turns. It reminds me a little bit of Fury as well if you rank it up 1. You know, it's a little bit of a conditional, I gain 4 attack. Again, Fury, you get it all up front though, so I think Fury is a better card. Now, we are slowly approaching a critical mass on this, like, weapon, give your hero attack build for Demon Hunter. I don't think we're quite there yet on it, but watch this space is all I'm going to say. We have cards like Momentum and Going Down Swinging, as I alluded to earlier, that can give your weapon big attack and then just go smoking all minions on the board, smoking the face. If that ever does reach the full critical mass, I think Spirit of the Team will make that deck. But again, right now, not quite enough support for it. Bullhog kind of came out of nowhere. I was like sitting down looking at this card, I was like, at one point I was like, is this card goated? And I was like, no, it's not. It's a 4 mana 3/3 Quillbore with Lifesteal, Battlecry, and Death Rattle. Deal 3 damage to the lowest health enemy. And I was like, hang on a minute, this minion's a 4 mana 3/3, so it's pretty understated for 4 mana. You'd probably be looking at getting, at the very least, 4/5. But I think at this point now, you're probably looking for that to break into 4 mana 5/5 to be playable. So it's pretty understated. That being said, though, you are getting 6 damage out of it. The problem with this card, again, is that you don't get to pick where the damage goes. On the Battlecry, you get some like vague idea of where it's going to go, because obviously you're going to play it when... Ideally, it hits the face or it hits a 3 health minion, so you get maximum value from it. But the Death Rattle, your opponent can always play some sort of 1/1 token or that type of deal. Then kill the Hog, it kills the 1/1 token, and you get very little value from it. It reminds me a lot of Shadowed Spirit, which actually is not a bad comparison, because Shadowed Spirit saw some play in Shadow Priest, which was one of the top decks, at least maybe like 6 months ago, which had Death Rattle deal 3 damage to the enemy hero, and was a 3-mana 4/3. And this is, I think, where Ball Hog falls down. If you like, just compare these two cards. Sure, you don't have 6 damage like you do on Ball Hog on Shadowed Spirit, but Shadowed Spirit was pretty well statted. It was also statted aggressively, so it had 4 attack, 3 health, but was in a pretty good part for a 3-mana minion, giving you a 3/4 stat line. Also, the benefit of being an undead, which has a lot more support in terms of tribes, and Quillbore, which has almost 0 support. And it was also guaranteed to go to the face, which is probably what you wanted off the Shadowed Spirit. Ball Hog is 3 to the lowest health enemy, which for the most part is going to be a minion, not your opponent's face. It's pretty understated. It's not statted in a way that favors the attack either. And the Death Rattle can be played around. The lifesteal is nice, so I think this was more intended to go into your mid-range Demon Hunter decks. Maybe this is something you would put into your Highlander Demon Hunter deck, but again, I'm not convinced that is good enough, right? I don't think there's a good enough pool of cards to make the Highlander deck work. This would probably just make the cut, but again, it's not a great card. Alright, there's obviously something we're missing. The final legendary, CCG, I believe is how you pronounce it. CCG? CCG? Maybe CCG. Why the 3 vowels, 3 eyes in this? Anyway, 4-mana 4/3, Death Rattle, get 3 random first edition Demon Hunter cards in mint condition. Alright, this card is kind of weird. And personally, I think it's going to be pretty bad. So if you want to know what the card is actually doing for you, you are getting an understated 4-drop again. Slightly understated. Not too bad though. And if this minion dies, or when this minion dies, you get 3 random Demon Hunter cards. And I believe, again, you can tell me if I'm wrong, these are Demon Hunter cards that came out when these are cards that from when Demon Hunter originally came out. So I think it's going to be Ashes of Outlands was the first Demon Hunter set, right? And then they also got some cards from something called like Demon's Initiative to bulk up the cards. I think CCG gives you 3 cards from those 2 pools. Importantly though, and you might be asking why did it say first edition, do you get them in the state that they were in at the time? So, Skull of Gul'dan will be 5 mana, it will not be 6 mana, which is what it got nerfed to. The Eldrazi Warblade, which I believe will also be in this pool, got nerfed to 3 mana 2/2. You'll get the 3 mana 2/3 variant, and again, in any other card from that point, you'll get that OG variant, including cards that I think got buffed. You'll get the unbuffed version, which is a bit unfortunate, but anyway. Obviously, this is a nod to it back in the day when people were saying Demon Hunter was just this OP class. It was very strong. They could output a lot of damage. Funnily enough, they had, again, a dormant card, which was very obnoxious. You could play around it, but it was just a huge bulk of damage in the Imprisoned Antean. I think that's how you pronounce it. Things have moved on, though, since then. I know, it's shocking to say. Things have moved on, and I don't think... I think if that original Demon Hunter set came out now, the deck would see play. I don't think it would be obnoxiously broken as it was back then, but I don't think getting 3 random cards from that era is going to elevate your Demon Hunter into wow territory. It is a lot of value. It's draw 3 cards in a 4-mana 4/3, so I'd say a 3/4 stat line is normally a 3-mana minion. So for 1 mana, you're getting draw 3 cards. And it's 3 cards that are all pretty good because the pool of first edition Demon Hunter cards are generally pretty good. But it's not fantastic. So again, I think this is going to be going into your control, mid-rangey, value Demon Hunter, that type of archetype. Maybe the Highlander deck. In fact, it will certainly go into the Highlander deck. Is that good enough? Yeah, no. I don't think it will be good enough. A lot of value, there's probably a lot of high roll potential, but there were some stinkers in the OG Demon Hunter pool as well, just as a reminder. Anyway, that's it for Demon Hunter, I believe. Let me know what you think in the comments below about the Demon Hunter reveals. I'm pretty excited to see my Feridon, but I think it's going to be an unfortunate situation where the card is actually pretty good, but it's going to be good later in the cycle of the year because there's just not enough support around there for big Demon Hunter decks. I'm very happy we didn't see a lot of big weapon gaining cards, not a lot of turbo aggro cards. Yeah, generally I think the set is pretty nice, pretty solid, but not spectacular. Let's put it that way. Anyway, I think I said it was going to be Priest tomorrow, but I'm pretty certain it's not Priest tomorrow. I think it's Rogue tomorrow, and then it's Priest. Please, 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 don't be Death Rattle Priest. That's all I ask for. Goodbye.